Good morning, and welcome to what I hope will be my latest adventure. My name is Jill, and I'm calling this channel Jilly Beans Creative Candy Jar because I like to do lots of different things. This all started because recently, about a month ago, I did what I called a friend tube for some of my friends. You know most of them. They have floss tube channels. Brandy and Emma from Beanie Stitchery, Stephanie the New England Stitcher, and her guest star, Sarah, R.I. Lighthouse Stitcher, I believe it is, and Nisi from Because We Stitch. And I sent them a video of some of the things that I had done since Library Stitchers and things that I purchased. And I'm very good at purchasing. And I really enjoyed it. And I always say I don't finish anything, and I still don't. But it was a great way to catalog what I actually accomplished. So I decided that I'm going to try this. Once a month or so, I'll come on and show you what I've been up to. So first, a little bit about me. Like I said, my name is Jill. I live in Massachusetts with my husband. We've been married for 33 years, but I'm originally from Jersey, and I still consider myself a Jersey girl. We have one grown child. I have a son. He's 31. He lives local with his girlfriend, which is really nice. We get to see him on a pretty regular basis, so that's always enjoyable. There's nothing better as a parent than to see your child when they grow up to be happy, healthy, and paying their own bills. So I enjoy that. So the things that I like to do, a lot of things that do with fiber arts. Anybody that knows me, I love to knit. So I've been knitting for really aggressively for about 15 years. I learned to knit when I was in high school. A friend of my mother's taught me, and the very first thing I ever knit was an Irish cable knit sweater, because her philosophy was, if someone's going to give you their time to teach you, you learn the hardest thing that you can learn. And really, knitting, all it is 2 stitches. It's just a matter of tension and learning what order to put them in. So when my son graduated from high school, I decided life was all about me. I had spent 18 years being mom and the whole bit. And I still am until he moved out. I cook dinner every night. But I really have focused in on what I like to do now in this stage of my life. And then during COVID, so I work for an industrial real estate company. I'm an executive there. And so I have a pretty demanding job. And even during COVID, I was in the office every day. But between the news about COVID and the election, I could not take the news anymore. I was becoming a very angry elf. So I found YouTube, and I started watching a lot of knitting podcasts. And then in my algorithm, Made by Michelle McGraw came up, and I'm like, oh, she looks cute. Let me watch her. So I did. And oh my God, I loved it. I had cross-stitched in the 80s, and much like knitting, when I came back to it, I found all these incredibly hand-dyed fibers, and it was just so wonderful. The same thing with cross-stitch. Now finding linens and hand-dyed linens and over-dyed flosses, it's been such a joy, and I've met some really wonderful people. So I really enjoy doing that. And I've been sewing and quilting for years, and it kind of ebbs and flows, just like most of us. Our crafts will ebb and flow with what's going on in our life, and I've come back to it a little bit lately and started a few quilts. So I have some things there too. So let's dive in and see what I've been up to. Let's start with knitting. So first thing that I finished this summer was the shirt that I'm wearing, or it's a t-shirt really. And this is the Sea Glass tee. Let me see if I can do that. Yeah. By Wool and Pine. And every other stitch is a different yarn. So it's a different color yarn. And the original pattern recipe was written that you changed yarns every row, and that was making me crazy. So I found that for me, it worked really well if I carried one yarn as the background yarn, and I went with the blue and then all different colors, and I love it. It's probably one of my favorite things I've ever knit. So that came off the needles this summer. I also just finished a pair of socks for my niece. She loves coffee, and I had yarn that looked like Dunkin' Donuts, so I knit her a pair of socks, and I put a picture in here. Probably not, because I don't know if I'll do with editing, so it might be at the end. But I made her a pair of shorty socks for her birthday, and I gifted those to her recently. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see that I went to Nashville to surprise her for her birthday. She had no idea it was coming. Best surprise ever. So thanks to my sister for pulling that one off. And then the other one I just finished is the Anders by Puddlefish Knits. And this is for one of my sons. Let me see if we can, yeah, there we go. One of my son's high school friends who had a baby, and actually the child is one. I'm a little behind, and I had to get it finished because another one of his friends just had a little girl, and that needs to go on the needles. And that, you'll see the yarn I picked up for that while I was on vacation in Hull. So those are the things I have been working on that have recently come off the needles. What am I working on? So I will be starting that baby sweater. I love this so much that I started it again. And this time I'm doing it in with the black yarn in the background and like a Halloween type of colors, all brights and everything like that. So, and when I'm done with it, I'm knitting it in the round because knitting in the round is much faster than knitting back and forth, but it's gonna be a cardigan. So I've prepped it to steek it up the middle, and what that is, you'll do a bunch of prep work and you'll cut it. And when we get to that, I'll show you. Hopefully I'll get to it this year. I have a horrible habit of knitting things. That's the Sapila by Caitlin Hunter. I knit the entire sweater last summer, all but 5 rows, and I put it away. Pulled it out this summer, finished the 5 rows, put it on and said, I really don't like the way this fits. So the bottom was a standard rib band, and I ripped that out, and I've decided to do a folded hem. It's just a much more tailored finished look on a sweater, and especially for a t-shirt sweater. So I did that, and I jogged the stitches over one, so I had to rip it all out again. So last night I finished sewing up the hem, and now I have to finish the sleeves. Maybe I'll get it done this year, maybe I won't. A friend of mine told me it's not my fault, it's because I'm a Gemini, and Geminis don't finish things. But I really would like to get that one finished, so we'll see. And then I have the baby sweater that I do need to start so that I can gift it to them before she's 1. So let's move on to some cross stitch. So what have I been working on here? So on Flag Day with my friend Brandy, I started One Nation, and I am stitching that on 36 count cappuccino because it's a gift for my husband. And one night when we were on a Zoom call, he brings me cappuccino every night. So they affectionately refer to him as Mr. Cappuccino. So I thought this fabric was quite appropriate for him. So I have that going. I started One Nation, American Welcome last year when the Floss Paws and Cousins had a sale, and I didn't get very far. I had done maybe the flowers across the top, so I pulled it back out, and I've come down with the flowers, and I've done the flag and started on the little blue house, and I'm doing that on 36 count Old American, and I keep it in a keeper that I made, so I have that going. Like a lot of people, I've put together a basket of patriotic things, and I'll show you that in a minute. I was watching Brandy's recap of her trip to the Brenda Gervais retreat, and so I had to go on the website and find different things, and I found this, which is, what is this? Autumn in Baltimore, and I was like, oh my God, that's so cute. And because it has a squirrel on it, I thought it was paying tribute to Brandy, so I started that, and that is being stitched. This one's really trying my patience. It is stitched on 28 count 1/1, and it's tiny, and my eyes are getting old. But I keep that in a Whippakeepa from Stephanie, the New England Stitcher. And then the last thing I've been working on is I pulled out some Christmas, so I'm going to work on Cocoa Quilt, and I'm stitching that. What's this? Which way? This way. So, and that is being done on 32 count taupe, light taupe Lugana with all of the called for floss. And I'm really enjoying that. So those are the things that I'm currently keeping in my active rotation. Oh, I actually had a finish. Hold on. Let me put it right here. As you can see, there's lots of things around me. I am very lucky. I have an entire, what would have been a bedroom, so it's a decent sized room, as my craft room, and I have taken over my son's bedroom as my stitching room, which is where I keep an overflow of all my fabrics and things. So I know I'm very lucky, and I appreciate the fact that my husband tolerates all that I do. So what I finished was, so I guess it must have been in the springtime. Kathy from Two Needles Pulling Thread showed this pattern. Pull it out so that you don't get the glare, which is the Summer Alphabet Garden, and this is by Jeanette Douglas. And I'm like, oh my god, that is beautiful, I need to do it. So put in 1, 2, 3 stitch, place the order, and that's the best part, is it arrives in your mailbox. So finished that up, and it went so quick, and I so enjoyed it. I tried to do the border. I tried like 2 and 3 times. It was not being successful, and I was like, nope, done. So my thought here is to mount it pretty tight on a piece of, just mount it really tight, and then mount that onto a piece of bright, cheerful fabric, and then frame that. So hopefully I'll get that done before next summer. We'll see. You never know. So I put together a basket, like a lot of people have, of patriotic things. So let me show you what I have in my patriotic basket. And my goal here is to pull things out of it when the spirit moves me. So my my One Nation has become my Sunday stitch. I started that on Flag Day, like I said, and I worked on it for about 5 days, and then I've decided, okay, it needs to go away for a little while. And I do pull it out every Sunday, and I try to get at least 1 or 2 fibers in. Sometimes if we don't have anything on the agenda, I can spend the entire day. If it's a nice day, I will sit outside all day and stitch. So makes me happy. So what do I have in my basket? So I have in this great Como bag, I finally got one. I was so excited. I have Liberty Games. Sorry, I should probably take it out. Hang on 1 second. Liberty Games by Erica Michaels. And I'm going to stitch that on 40 count with all the called for flosses. And I'm a little concerned about 40 count, but I guess if I get good lighting and some magnification, I can do it. So if I can stitch 28 count 1/1, I think I can stitch 40 count if I think about it now. And so I have a bunch of stuff coming in the mail because I was watching Teresa, the Garden Goose, and let me tell you, if you're having a bad day, you need to watch that woman. Her joy for life is so infectious. She's just such a happy person. I love it. So she has shown a couple of times now Land That I Love by Teresa Kogut, and I was like, that is so pretty. I really want to do it. So I went down to see Pam at Stitch New England, which is my local needlework shop, and she didn't have the pattern, but she had all the flosses. So I pulled all the flosses, and she didn't have a piece of fabric that I really liked. So I came home and went through my stash, and I found fabric that I liked, but it wasn't quite big enough. So I placed an order at the Crafty Grimalkin for the fabric. And while I was placing that order, I ordered some floss for another project. So that should be coming this week. And then I ordered the pattern. So hopefully by next time I will have it. Maybe I will have started it. We'll see. We'll find out together, won't we? So I am also have the American House sampler. I'm working on that one. So that's in my patriotic bag, and I'll show you that when I work on that. I also have in here Forever in Peace by Sweet Wing Studio. And hang on, let me put that back in there because I'll lose it. And, oh, I know what this one is. Hold on, let me find the right pattern. This one is so cute. It comes in 3 parts. I'm looking for the part that has the fin. There we go. And this is the Branch series, and this one's Liberty. And that one is by Bent Creek. So I started that last year, so I'm going to work on that. Then a couple other just little miscellaneous. I got the Primrose Cottage Sip and Stitch box, so I have the patterns that came in that, and I have the flosses and just some other patriotic things that I had in my collection. I have the Little House Needleworks patterns, and then while this isn't necessarily oh, that's really bad, sorry. Doesn't scream patriotic, but there's a flag on it and it's really cute, so I added that into my basket because you never know when the spirit might move you to pull that. And then, so when I was at the Library Stitchers, they had, did you guys get in for next year? So excited I did. The Farmhouse Flossies were there, so I picked up some patriotic floss to throw in my basket. I didn't know at the time this is what I was going to do, but I'm really glad I did because now I have a whole bunch of stuff in there and it's ready to go with a new pattern coming. So that will be in my rotation of things to work on. I had also started Primrose's Halloween Cauldron, and I finished stitching the cauldron, and I'm not really happy with my choices for floss. So that's kind of gone in timeout, and I have to decide if I'm going to restart it or if I'm going to just stick with it and see what happens. So I'm not really sure. So sewing wise, what have I been doing? Well, I finished a quilt. I bought the fabric for the quilt to make a quilt for my niece when she was 5. She just turned 21. So I've had the fabric for a long time. The quilt is no longer going to be hers because I did not do quilts for any of the other nieces and nephews. And so the quilt is now going to be mine. And I just picked it up from Blackstone Quilting. And I haven't put the binding on because I committed the cardinal sin of I let my serger become unthreaded. So I like to serge the edges of my quilts before I put the binding on them. And usually what I do with my serger is when the thread's getting low on one of the cones, I tie off a new thread and pull it through so that I don't have to rethread it. I haven't threaded my serger in probably about 5 years. So I have to pull the manual out and learn how to rethread it again. So it will be a bit before I get this, the binding sewn on, but I just love the quilting on the back. So I put black on the back. The front of the quilt is, it looks like a watermelon to me. So let me see if I can pull this around and show you. So it just kind of looks like happiness, and I have the pink flowers on the back, and it just makes me really happy. So hopefully I'll get my serger threaded and I can sew the binding on. That's a great project for me to probably take on vacation. And at night when we're just kind of sitting around, I'll just, because I like to hand sew the binding to the back, and we'll get that sewn on. Shopping. I'm very good at that. Let me show you what I have. So like I said, I want to do Land That I Love by Teresa Kogut. So I went on to 123 Stitch, and they were out of stock of it at the moment. But while I was there, I was like, oh, look, all these other things are here and on sale. So let me pick these up. So I picked up, Hands On Design was on sale. So I picked up her snowman block, and I picked up everything that goes, picked up the fabric, picked up all the floss. So that will go in my things to start. And then since I was getting that, I was like, well, I had picked up the Satsuma Street Santa and Mrs. Santa, I guess last year at the Jingle Ball. And I love the way Helen D finished them in the stand-up. So I went back and watched what fabric she used. I'm completely copying her. When someone has mastered what should be done, why would you not want to just copy that? And she did a fabulous job. So that's on my list. And then since I was getting that, I'm like, you know, I want to do a couple of little pumpkins. So I picked up some orange. So that came from 123 Stitch. And then I had seen, when back to Brandy, this is all Brandy's fault. She's such the influencer. She had shown stuff that she got at the Brenda Gervais retreat, and they had this little bat that I really wanted to make, this little pin cushion, which of course now I can't seem to find it in my collection of things here. Oh well, I'll come across it shortly. But I picked that up, and then I picked up, where's the glare coming from? I don't want to open it because it's a full kit. It's called Smitten, and it's this little snowman in a mitten. And I'm like, this is so cute, except for it's on black fabric. So we'll see how we do with that. So I picked that up. And then, I don't know why I bought this fabric, but I bought it for a reason, but I can't remember what it was. So I was on Kitten Stitcher's website, and I picked up this fabric. I really don't know why I bought it. It's 36 count goat's milk. Eventually I'll remember why I purchased it. You would think I would put, I have no idea. But while I was there, she has her $5 section sale. I picked up all this Teresa Kogut fabric for $5 a yard. That is fantastic. So I see some project bags in my near future. I think a snowman project bag might need to get done for that snowman project, those 2 snowman projects. So I love a keeper because I can keep multiple projects in it. But recently I decided I think I'm going to try doing a bag with an inside pocket. So maybe we'll give that a whirl. So picked up that. Already, you know the fabric that I was telling you I'm going to do Santa and Mrs. Claus on. I'm like, I'm going to dye my own fabric. So I went to Michael's and I picked up some fabric and I picked up some dye and I got it all home and I started to do it and I picked up purple, not blue, but I still dyed it anyway. So this is a piece of dyed by me purple fabric. So that will get used for something. I don't know what, maybe some Halloween. And when I was dyeing the fabric, I decided to dye some floss. And it was really cool because I got like this really nice ombre effect. Let's see if I can show this to you. By simply not, dipping it into the water and not not letting it get completely submerged in the pot. Oh, so when there's a lot of things in this basket. When I placed the order for Autumn in Baltimore, when I called up and asked them to do it, she's like, oh, I can kit it for you. So I got the little box that it gets finished on, and all the little finishing pieces are in there. So I'm very excited. I forgot I had that. Oh, the same niece that I knit the socks for, she said to me while we were on vacation, could you knit me an eyeglass case? And I was like, no, but I will sew you one. So while we were on vacation, we went to Bristol, Rhode Island, and the next town over from Bristol, maybe 2 towns over, is a store called The Stitch Source, where she sells knitting and quilting things. So my niece picked out some fabric for me to make her an eyeglass case. I should get that done. And I picked up the yarn to do the baby sweater for my son's friend. This friend of my son, they've been friends since 1st grade, so I've known him for a really long time. This is the pattern I'm going to do. And it's petite knit, and it's so cute. And while we were there, my sister was picking up all this yarn going, this is really pretty, and it was beautiful, but it was like earth tones and things. Not what I had envisioned for a baby. And my niece and I were standing in front of yarns, and we were like, let's pick the one we like the best up first, and we both picked up the same color, so I knew it was the right one. Can you not see a beautiful little baby girl in this incredibly beautiful hot pink? So that will get caked up this weekend and started. Obviously, I have a snowman issue because I also picked up Brenda Gervais All Bundled Up. I am so sorry about the glare that I promise that next month when I do this, I will have taken everything out of the bags so that you can see things without incredible glare. And so this all came from the little Yes, the Little Red Hen, because there's a yarn store called the Little Red Mitten that I shop at. And I love this pattern. I have the pattern. I've tried to stitch it twice, but I've never been happy with my choices of fabric and floss. So she had it all kitted with this really cool green that they dyed. And let's take that out of the bag since I've already opened the bag. And I really like this green. But again, I need to get my serger fixed back up there so that I can serge that and add this to the rotation. Obviously, I might need more than one snowman bag. So that's what I have in my basket of things that I have purchased. I have some fabric, but I'm not going to show that to you because I purchased it to make my table gifts for Stitch New England, so I don't want to show that. But I did get this wonderful bag from my friend Stephanie for my birthday. I love it. So the pink project will be going in there. In fact, I'm dropping the yarn in there right now. And I'll get that started. So I think that's pretty much everything I have to share for about a month's worth of stuff. So hopefully you've enjoyed it. If you do, like, subscribe, do all those things that people tell you you're supposed to do. If you have any questions, I'll try to link my email address below, or I'll put a slide in with it because I don't know if I'll be able to figure that out. And we'll go from there. Hopefully you'll come back next time, and I'll see you in about a month. Thanks, friends. Bye.